Hello, 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 hello. Yes, it is I, Abu, Abby on the Mongolo Croonings show. Sorry. And you're welcome. You're welcome to the show. Just running around trying to get things started. Um, I hope you've all had a wonderful day. I hope you're doing well. I hope everything is going right for you. Welcome to the new year. Some people are like trying to get themselves together, for the new year and everything. And I completely understand because we started college on Monday. That was yesterday. And I'm telling you, all of us in class are like, "Ugh." Like it's hard work trying to get into it. A lot of people came late to college because you know we've had 2 weeks of not having to deal with rushing to college and all of that. So yeah, everyone's just trying to get adjusted. So just bear with me. Okay, so you know, we're gonna have a very good show tonight because people have been like getting in touch with me and saying, what is it about? I mean, what does topic mean?" And blah blah blah. And so I'm very excited, and we have a little video that we're going to show. But before we go into the video, I already have a guest waiting. Let me see who it is. Oh, it is the one and only Ivy baby to the house. Please put on your video, I beg. They need to see my sister. Yvonne, hello, Yvonne. Ah, okay. She's not there. Anyways, I'll put her on. Now, some people have been confused. If you've gotten the information, um, use the link to come. So if you want to actually join the show and be part of the people talking, then oh, okay. She said not to do her like that, so I'll take her off. When you came direct, I thought you were coming to come and talk, but apparently you're not. Okay, it's fine. I'll remove you. But if you want to come back, just contact me privately. So you for the people who are following the show, you will see that there's a link to go onto YouTube. That is if you just want to watch the show, but you don't want to participate per se. You rather drop a comment and just watch the show. But if you actually want to be part of the show, you want to be able to comment, you want to be able to get involved in it, then please click on the StreamYard, and that way it will bring you to the studio. So I'm waiting for our people to join. I already see that some people are already watching online. Um, so I'm just looking to see who's going to join us. You know, okay, a lot of people are saying that they're still on the road, and the reason why the reason why I moved the show um to 8:30 is because a lot of people were saying it was too early. They were still on the road, they were on the way and everything. And you're trying to do everything to accommodate everybody. So nobody is being too late. So, you know, people in England, they won't have the kind of traffic issues like the people in Nigeria. So I'm trying to make way for the people in Nigeria to get to, excuse me, just on my dinner, part of my dinner on my trouser. So some people are going to be like struggling with getting home in time to Nigeria. So of course, trying to make out time. And same thing for the people in America. Yvonne, I have done this show in a big hoodie. So the thing is that it's not what you look like that people are concerned about. They're more concerned about what's inside your head. So, and I know that there's a lot that you can contribute. So please try and join. Okay, you're wearing your pajamas. I'm sure you're wearing very nice, cute pajamas. So put on your pajamas, look a little bit sexy for for the show, and come and join us. So I'm just trying to reach out to see. People are telling me, oh, they're running late. Some people are 7 minutes away. Some people are 20 minutes away. Things like that. Just trying to get people to come on. So yeah, let's see how we do. So till then, oh, more people are looking in. So more people are looking in that actually coming to join as guests. Come and join. Come and talk this thing. So we are talking about addictions. Now, addictions can be anything. You can be addicted to food, you can be addicted to drugs, you can be addicted to alcohol, you can be addicted to exercise, you can be addicted to sex. The sex time. You can be addicted to sex, you can be addicted to, any kind of thing. I had an addiction, you know. Most of the time when I'm doing these things on the show, it's not because, I want to say, look, let's talk from a human place. So I used to have an addiction. And I say used to because I think I am so much more better now than before. So when I fell ill and everything seemed like, what am I going to do with myself? And I've never been the kind of person to sit down and just be watching and watching life go past. I've never been that kind of person. I mean, I started working from when I was age 16 and I didn't need to work. My parents didn't send me out and say, go and look for work. It was me, myself. I was like, I'm sitting at home. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to find work. And I went to look for work myself. So I've never been that kind of person who can sit down and do nothing. I just can't do it. It's not part of my makeup. So um, when things look like, what am I going to do? I didn't have a job and everything. I was in between jobs and everything. I just didn't know what I was going to do with myself. So I started crafting. And the whole thing about me crafting wasn't even just a decision I made. It was very much a spiritual thing, but I only tell it to people who understand spiritual things. I don't just say it out in public. So anyway, I started crafting. And in fact, the guy I was dating at that time, it wasn't we were dating. He wasn't my boyfriend. I don't know if that makes any sense. We were going out together, but we hadn't said, okay, you know what, it is me and you that are going to stay together, that kind of thing. Anyways, DJ, hey, hey, hey. DJ Lion, DJ. Oh
How you
my
doing?
God, I have to tell people our story.
Alexa, pause.
I have to tell people our story because I need people to understand why I have great love for you. So Deji and I went to Ogun State University, and me, you, no more loss, and what have I done with his name now? Hey, and I'm seeing his face, but his name has disappeared. One other guy, he's actually my friend on Facebook. Hey, if he watches this, he's gonna hate me.
Is that Raheem?
No, not Raheem. Raheem came later. Dark.
R- Richard?
Richard came later.
Oh, it's what's his name? Bugger. I can't.
You know what?
Gosh.
Dark.
Yes,
You know
yes.
who I'm talking about. I don't know why I
Yeah.
can't remember his name. Anyway, so the four of us. No, you guys. No, I was the one who came later. I was the one who came later, not them. Sorry. So you guys had formed a group, a
Mm-hmm.
music group, and I don't know where you came across me, but then you realized I could sing. And then you told me, hey, me and these guys, we have a thing, but like having a girl to sing with us will actually be cool. We'll have a hook, it'll be nice and everything. And me and Normal sort of kicked off very well because he's a songwriter. He was a songwriter, God rest his soul.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a songwriter. So we started like, hey, vibing. Okay, let's write. And then we wrote a couple of songs that we actually did as a group. Can you remember?
Yeah, we did a bunch. Yeah, we did. We
We
did.
did a lot of music. So we were actually a music group that used to invite us to come and sing at events. Can you remember?
You see,
Remember one
when I tell folks that I used to sing, they'll be like, "Yeah, right."
with serious singing, like we were invited. We were that good. They would invite us to events. and we will go and sing and everything. And it was such a cool group, and I loved it so much. But then
Yeah.
I was a year below all of you.
Well, I think you were a year below me. Some of us, it was a good mix because I think Noma lost, or Shaggy as we used to call him then.
Shaggy was what we
Um,
called him then. We didn't know him as No More Loss. He was
so
Shaggy
he
to
he
us.
was he was the same year as you. Some of us were my year, and I think there was a couple of people who were a year behind you as well. So it was a
Really?
very good, yeah. It was. We had a big group called Music House,
Yeah,
if
it
you
was a
remember.
yeah.
So I started
What was it
Music
called
House.
again?
Music House,
Music House. Yes, that's true.
and
And I was the only girl.
and then we had Harmony. So Harmony was the group. So Music House was the club, and
Yes,
Harmony
Music
was
House
a
was the
group.
club, and Harmonies. Harmonies what was we were called. Yeah.
Yes, the Harmony was the group, and yeah, it was interesting. Then we would, but I think at some point I kind of stepped out when I got into the church. A story for another day, and
Yeah. I
and
was in the
then with
church,
that.
but I was still singing secular music. So it didn't make sense to me when you left. Because I'm like, the same church now I sing in choir and I sing here. It's all music to God's ears. I don't know why you are. And it's not like we were singing risque music or anything. In
I
fact, there's
remember
one.
one time when some people invited us to come and sing in a church, and then we got together and we were like, we actually were going to rehearse and practice a song, and then I think it was Shaggy who said, I don't feel comfortable with this. That will after doing whatever, we're now going to change, begin to sing for church, and we're like, sorry, excuse me, if there's anyone who doesn't understand pigeon here. So we decided to just flip it, and we said, so we then said, you know what? Let's not do it. It just didn't feel right to
Yeah,
go and start
I
singing.
didn't understand it, but I was like, oh, if they say we shouldn't sing, we shouldn't sing because I have no. And funny enough, I grew up deeper life, so I should be the one with the biggest problem, yeah. But I had no problems with singing. Maybe because of my background in theater, also because I
Hmm.
go to church and then we'll go and do theater that will be doing Ifa worshiper and all of that. But because they teach us in theater is not your life. It is something you
Hmm.
do.
Yeah.
So in a way, to me, the music was something we did. It wasn't our life. So if we came to church and we were invited, we were that good, church invited us to come and sing. So I just felt then we go and sing. But
Yeah.
people
I
felt
think for
very
me it was
uncomfortable.
just weird that, especially the lifestyle I was living at the time. I thought if some people see me singing in church and they get slain in the spirit, and then the next day they see me in the buttery, with the bottle of
But
whatnot,
that
and
what that tells you, if they get slain in the spirit, is that the spirit of God, because it saddens me, and I'm glad we're having this conversation because
hmm
it's not the conversation we're meant to have, but glad we're having this conversation. Let me get someone else in, someone. Aha. Omolara, welcome, welcome, welcome. How's your day? I hope it was good.
I'm tired.
Um, Hey,
Hi,
yes.
Malara, how you doing?
Because you were in traffic
Hi,
and you just
DJ.
arrived. Yeah. So that's
Um,
DJ, Deji, and this is Omolara. And Deji
Hey.
and I are
Hi,
just going
Deji.
over some memories because we were actually in school together, in a music group together. So we
Well,
were
I
just going
envy
over
you for
some
that,
memories.
Abby, because you seem to have contact with all your school friends and all. I don't have that. Um, yeah.
You
Eh,
know what? We can help you. Where did you go to school? Let's connect you with some of your old friends.
But
exactly.
that's
Where
not.
did you
That's
go?
because I didn't have friends in school. I was this SU girl that lived a triangle life. So
But even the people in your church now, Shebi, you said you're SU. So even your SU, you have SU friends. Me,
Yeah.
yes,
me, I was
my grandfather
everywhere.
was no, my grandfather was the reverend, second in command. The only friends we were allowed to keep is my extended family because we were like 20 something people in the house. So you actually there were I don't know how to put it. We were not antisocial, but it wasn't encouraged. So the people I call my friends to date are usually my cousins, like Bolaji Ajayi. Our dad is my great grandpa's first cousin, that sort of a thing.
That sort
So
So
of
I
basically,
just
your
dynamic.
friends are your
I just went
cousins.
through school knowing that, oh, this person is, oh, you're in my class, you're in my school year and all. And that was it. And that was what, your formative year is the first 10 years, then your secondary school. So by the time I got into higher institution, I could care less. That's I don't understand when people say, oh, like, well, not people. My daughter now, she's all about, oh, it's my friend. I have to be there. I don't have that sort of
Wait,
What
friendship.
which
about
is good
reunions?
because
What about reunions, though? Don't you do reunions and
Well,
things
you
like
go to
that?
reunion with people you kind of had some sort of connection with in the first place. I take my homeworks home. I do my study with my other cousins, senior cousins, or the ones who are in the same classes or whatnot. So I didn't really have that bond outside my family. So I say to people that
that
I don't have I only have two friends, and we see like once in three. Okay, Anita even relocated, so and I'm just fine. I'm just fine in my own
Face.
bubbles
but you see,
space.
your world would have been so much richer. And it's just the truth. Because I grew up deeper life and we too we were like, I don't and I'm like, for what? And in fact, I challenged my dad to it. I said, Dad, how do we go into the world and multiply as Christians if we are keeping to ourselves that we are so holy, we cannot mix with every day? How do we? They have to know us, they have to see us and be friends with us so that then we can influence them. Why is it written in the Bible that no, don't be friends with people in? It didn't make any
Abby,
sense to
you're
me. And my
right.
dad was
And
like, you know what, you're right.
I'm actually dealing with, well, about to having an issue now on, I'm very present on Instagram, right?
Yes.
So I'm having a situation between two sisters now that I have to mediate and make sure that I make peace. And is this sort of situation, one of them. So this other sister, I always started. I posted something. This other sister had a different view. This other Christian sister had a different view, and this other sister commented on this other sister's comment with an open mind, or what the Christians would call the worldly view. This other sister is all about Bible, and now this other sister blocked this other sister, and they're both my sisters and my friend. So what I'm trying to say is, you see, we were brought up with so much restrictions, all in the name of Christianity, that is part of what is backsliding on Christianity today. No, that's the truth. That's
No,
the truth.
it's a comment that my friend put up. That she's always known me as a rebel. Because even from secondary school, I was a lone ranger. Like I walked to the beat of my own drum.
Yeah, that's why I said I envy you with all these friends you've been able to bring together. So the point I'm trying to make is, because we were told, oh, do not be equally yoked with the
Yoked
unbelievers
with
and the bad.
unbelievers.
But we
Mm.
forgot that Christ himself didn't come for the believers. He
Exactly.
came for the unbelievers. This is the issue we are
If,
having. So
I,
I
I
I
kind of
would
reckon
prefer.
that, sorry, I apologize. I kind of reckon that if Jesus was alive today, the
You'll be
church, the church would criticize him. They
Yeah,
would call him all sorts of names. They would ostracize him. Is it how can you as a Christian be going to
Deji.
club
You
and
see,
you
I'm
call yourself
sorry.
they
a
even say
believer?
clubbing is a sin. But me, I just pray to God, please don't take away all the nice lounges in Lagos where I can go and have some shot of whiskey when I've had a very, very long day, especially on a Saturday evening. Even
Guys,
Jesus Christ
I'm
did
going
not
to say
subscribe.
something that is not popular opinion. And anybody who wants to come and fight me on it, I am ready. My chest is big. Look, I have my issue with some of scripture. And that's why I always say to people, I say, I'm glad that Paul, when he was writing his section of scripture, was very clear that some of it is not from God, it's from him. Because when you read these things of do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers, it's a very separatist, pharisaic kind of behavior. It's got nothing to do with Christ. Christ moved with prostitutes, he moved with tax collectors, he moved. So if you are separating yourself, then
Abby,
how do
what?
you
Let me
minister?
help you. Let me help you there, Abby. There are three types of laws in the Bible. The problem the Christians make is that we make all the Bible laws into one. So there are the laws that the Bible, that God himself through Jesus Christ gave to us. There is what we call the law of the land. And then there are the laws that was given by the rulers or the men of God of the time, like Paul, for instance. So it is left for us now as believers to know, to study and know which one is law of God himself, like the commandments. Which one are the laws that was, or the words of Jesus Christ? Which one is the law of the time at the time? For instance, I like to use this as an example a lot. Muslims burying dead bodies the same day is a very perfect example of law of the land at that time, because there was no way they could preserve the dead bodies.
And it's become a religious law now.
And now it's been turned into a religious practice. We have it in Christianity too. So there are some, look at marriage. Our marriage is just being messed up and twisted to please our religious leaders. Christianity marriage now, actually, I'm speaking about. So even Paul himself said that marriage is not for everybody, and that anyone who finds a wife finds a good thing. If you manage to find. So it's not like the wife is there. If you manage to find a wife, like if you manage to find it or whatever, you find a good thing, meaning that marriage is not for everybody. It is for those lucky ones that can find a partner. But no, we twist it and
Chop
they make
knuckle.
marriage to become a do. Yeah, I told you my grandfather was a reverend. He made us all of us study Bible like we were studying for WAEC and stuff.
But you know, one thing I found out, and I can only speak about that which I know, even though I know the Islamic law to a certain extent, because I grew up in a multi-faith environment. I mean, my grandmother was an Oshun worshiper for a long time before she was finally dragged kicking and screaming to Christ. by force.
My
Was
Muslim
a
name is
very happy
Kafilat, so
Oshun
I
worshiper.
understand. Go ahead.
You know, so but one thing I found out that especially with people of faith, there is very little emotional intelligence. Very little.
I kind of feel
Because
like
it's very, like the really people who are like Bible, they don't like. There's some things that is a simple case. Use your medulla oblongata. You hear a
if they
person
do,
tell you,
it takes away all controls.
Wait,
It's
now,
all
no,
about
you hear
control.
there was one that came up recently. The person, the leader said, "Oh, for you to qualify for heaven, I have to spray you with bleach," and they lined up. I'm like, come on, is this dead? Is this one dead?
I think it's
They
really
lined
interesting.
up and he was spraying them with bleach.
I saw that video. It's really interesting that we say God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And it's what they say. And my question is this. Well, yesterday, God spoke to people by himself. Why are we now restricting God to a book?
Atayao.
And for me, that's a really interesting question, right? If it's the same God who spoke to Abraham by himself.
Well, Abraham lived a certain way of life for God to have spoken to him. So all you need to do is
guys, I'm being aware of the fact that we are about to turn this to a Bible study group. So let's do this in the after. Let's do this in the after party. We have an after party, so don't go anywhere.
Let's do that.
So going back to I have early morning tomorrow.
We will try. Shall try and stay, even if it's 20 minutes, so that we can trash this one out. So going back to what Deji and I were talking about. So the thing with me is we behave, again, people of faith, like some things were created by the devil, like music, like sex, like all of it was created by God.
And first with the devil. Now God himself said, "Go into the world and multiply." How will we multiply without sex?
But like the way some people treat it is as if it's devil that made it. You hear, fashion. No, it's of the devil.
It's really interesting because humans are the
join us online at the moment.
Humans are the only animals who, because every other animal, I think, almost every other, so I think it's every other animal, They
No,
only have
are you about to say it's for procreation? No, I have seen some animals. I've seen videos of some animals. Hey,
no, every other animal, they have seasons. So, for example, a female dog, when she's not in season, she would not have sex. There's no attraction.
like certain
With
animals like that. But you see some
humans,
animals,
with
they shake
humans,
their
on the
body.
other hand, we're always in the zone. So if we were
And
created and
bonobo
designed,
monkeys, bonobo monkeys.
if we were created and designed that way, it means we were designed. Sex was not designed for humans just for procreation. It was designed for humans for pleasure.
For argument,
Yes,
please.
I agree. But why I made that comment was because how can it be a sin when that is the only way we can multiply? And the Bible says, go into the world and multiply. It, so it is
So,
just the
but
method.
even
I think it's
society-wide sex is a taboo subject, and that's why I like talking about it.
I love talking
no,
about it. It's
you,
my
we know
favorite
you love
subject in the
sex. It's
world.
okay, Abby. It is fine. We know.
So anyways, I didn't understand that whole, oh, we can, but the good thing is my dad really helped me to develop emotional intelligence. Even though I grew up in deeper life, he always said, look, you always have to be open-minded to people,
Abby,
know
I
what
see
you
now.
stand
You are
for.
deeper life. You are wearing wig. You have red lipstick.
I beg
What
you,
is
leave
that?
things. It's
You,
like,
You are a
we could
sinner.
go
You will
on and
go
on
to
and on
hell.
on this topic. I think we should go on to the topic of
let's go to the
today.
topic, Abby. So, his emotional intelligence is a very important thing. So, anyways, we are talking about addiction. So, I was
Mhm.
saying earlier before you guys came on that I had an addiction. When I fell ill, I, I had to stop working and I wasn't doing anything. And at least, Deji, you know me, I'm not the kind of person who can sit down and do
Mhm.
nothing. It's
Mhm.
never been me. So I was struggling and I had to do something. And, I had an epiphany and I started to craft. And I was so absorbed in this crafting, even when I'm in pain and I'm actually screaming with pain. I'm going, I'm screaming with pain and I'll still be crafting.
Mhm.
I couldn't let it go. It became, I wake up, it's the first I'm going to. I'm eating, I'm crafting. Like it was an addiction. I couldn't stop. In my house right now, I have over 3,000 cards that I've made by myself. And,
Over
it was just
3,000
something,
what?
over 3,000 handmade cards that I've made.
Mhm.
So I had
That's a
to
lot.
yeah, oh, believe me, because even if you try and take one for every day, that if I made one a day, that's still how many years worth? I'm sure I have close to 4,000. So, anyways, which reminds me, I was supposed to go and drop some off at some charity shops. Okay, I have to remember. So, anyways, I had to, like sort of speak to myself and go, Abby, this is ridiculous. You are making these cards. You are not selling even 1/50th of what you are making. So why are you and now you have other things coming into your life. And it took more than a moment. I would actually lie down and I'll be looking at my craft table like almost like I'm itching, like
Mhm.
and
Mhm. Mhm.
I have to force myself to keep still, like I'm not going anywhere. I'll just keep still and not move. And it was hard. It was
Yeah.
really, really hard. But through trying to occupy myself with other things, people coming around me, so I was forced to go and sit with them, because at a point in time, if anyone came to visit me, they'll have to come and sit with me where I'm crafting. If I'm talking to anybody on the phone, I'm crafting while I'm talking to. It was, and you would think, crafting is that addiction. Until you're in it before you realize I will be crafting and forget to eat. It
Mm.
was ridiculous. So it took months, but I'm now better. Even though last night I was in bed, I was meant to be sleeping because I was going to college today, and I kept looking at the table. I will see. I'll pull the cover over my head that I'm sleeping. I won't even know when I pull the cover up, and I'm looking at the table with longing. I don't know whether it's because we're talking about addiction that made me start having the cravings again. But yes, I was having some serious craving for doing that. So that's one addiction that I had. Okay, Yvonne says it may have been therapeutic at the time, but then it became beyond therapy. It was now something, it was like if I didn't do it, the day was incomplete.
Yeah.
You know, it was like I hadn't done anything. So we're talking about addiction. So I just want to quickly read out comments here so that nobody is abandoned. So it says, so he says, Abby, I always perceived you as a rebel from our school days. Yes, I was a bit of a rebel. Not a total rebel because I still got bullied a lot, but I was a rebel in some ways. Diana says, lol, at some people believe certain things were created by the devil, but it is true. Some people believe that. Then Alarakwe Olariwaju says, bless you guys. Then Diana said, I believe that what makes any physical pleasure or activity bad is when it's done without regard for others, without control, or done to the point where it becomes an addiction. Because we're going to talk about people having sex addiction also, because addiction comes in all forms. And then Nachana, who again I went to secondary school with, said, well done, guys. Thank you, Nachana. And then Diana said, would have loved making crafts. Who would have thought making crafts could become an addiction? Thank you for sharing, Abby. Thank you, Diana. Diana is a published writer, award-winning published writer, by the way. So you guys know that. So anyways, I got a video that I want to share. Some of it is long, is about 19 minutes. So I'm just going to share like the first 3 minutes. Now it's in Yoruba, but there's subtitles. So try and read the subtitles. And I want you to watch it because I did not know that those kind of addictions happened until I saw the video. So I'm going to set that up for you now to see. And then we'll continue our conversation from there. So anyone who wants to reach out to me while we're watching the video, please do that.
Ó ní àìsàn kan tí máa ń dààmú ọpọlọ tó jẹ́ pé àwọn tó bá ń ṣàìsàn yìí àwọn nǹkan tí èso ń jẹ tí ò sì lè ṣara lóore kankan ní máa ń wù wọ́n jẹ. PICA ló kọ tí olóyìnbó ń pe àìsàn yìí ìyún PICA. Àwọn ọmọ kékeré àti aláboyún ló máa ń sábà dààmú jù ṣùgbọ́n tí wọ́n yéé pẹ́. Fún bí àpẹẹrẹ àwọn aláboyún kan wà tó jẹ́ pé àwọn nǹkan bíi èédú orí ìṣáná amọ̀ funfun àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ ní máa ń wù wọ́n jẹ. Àwọn kan wá wà tí wọ́n yéé ṣọmọdé wọ́n yéé sì ṣaláboyún tí irú àwọn èèyàn wọ̀nyí ló burú jù o. Bíi ti obìnrin tí à ń wò yìí tí orúkọ rẹ̀ ń jẹ́ Jennifer, mátírẹ̀sì fóòmù lòun fẹ́ràn jù láti máa jẹ. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ra pílò tuntun fún un kí ilẹ̀ ó tó mọ́ yóò ti ṣiṣẹ́ sí i lára débi wípé ẹ rò pé eku ló jẹ ni o. Bẹ́ẹ̀dì tóun gan fi ń sùn òun rí bọ̀. Ẹ bá gbé pizza àti bọ́gà lẹ̀ síwájú ẹ̀ lásìkò yìí. Jennifer ó sọ fún yín wípé mátírẹ̀sì òun gangan ló dùn ní. Obìnrin ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì tẹ́ ń wò yìí ọṣẹ òyìnbó lòun fẹ́ràn láti máa jẹ. Láyé àtijọ́ ni pé kò sọ́mọ náà tí ó jọṣẹ́ o. Àwọn eléyìí ń jẹ ọṣẹ wọ́n tún blend ọṣẹ mọ́ júùsì wọ́n ń dà á sọ fún un. Odidi ọṣẹ kùndí méjì ní ń jẹ lójúmọ́. Yes, she eats 2 bars of soap per day. Obìnrin ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹta tẹ́ ń wò yìí Teresa ló kọ rẹ̀. Virginia lórílẹ̀‐èdè United States of America ní ń gbé. Àwọn ọmọ àpáta kéékèèké tó ṣí lára àpáta tó ti wá dòkúta lòun máa ń jẹ. Bí n bá ń lọ lọ́nà tó bá rí irú àwọn òkúta yìí níṣe ni yóò hé tí ó sì tọ́jú rẹ̀. Teresa fẹnu ara rẹ̀ sọ pé bóun ò bá jẹ òkúta yìí lọ́jọ́ kan ara òun ò ní mókun kò sì ní í ṣe pọ́npọ́n dáadáa. Ó ti ju 20 ọdún lọ tó ti ń jẹ irú àwọn òkúta yìí. Bí wọ́n bá tóbi jù gan yóò rọra fi ámà fọ́ sí ìwọ̀nba tí ẹnu rẹ̀ lè gbà ní. Ó lágbára. Obìnrin ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹrin tẹ́ ń wò yìí orúkọ rẹ̀ ń jẹ́ Patricia. Àwọn ògiri ara alé ní tiẹ̀. Níṣe ni yóò fi ọ̀bẹ tàbí ṣísù ṣí wọn láwẹ́láwẹ́ tí ó sì máa jẹ. Ó ti lé ní ọdún 15 ìyún 15 years ní ìsín tí Patricia ti ń jẹ ògiri ara alé. Patricia fẹnu ara rẹ̀ sọ pé oríṣiríṣi ilé ló ní adùn tiẹ̀. Ó wà nínú gbogbo ògiri ilé tóun ti ń jẹ pátápátá tí ilé ìyá òun àgbà ló dùn jù. Ó sì máa ń lọ ọbẹ̀ lóòrèkóòrè láti ṣí ògiri ilé ìyá náà jẹ. Àfàìmọ̀ kó má jẹ ilé tán màmá lórí o. Obìnrin ẹlẹ́ẹ̀karùn-ún tí à ń wò yìí Casey ni ó kọ rẹ̀ ń jẹ́.
Okay.
Ó bad
Guys,
gan. Ó bad gan. Ọ̀rọ̀ burúkú àtẹ̀rín.
okay, please remember that everybody understands Yoruba, but did you see
Abeg
that?
interpret,
So
no vex.
she's
Actually.
saying this
Interesting.
is like it's crazy. So, what do you think?
About the video or about addictions generally?
Let's talk about the video, then move it into addictions in general.
I think the video kind of highlights something, which is addiction actually is a disease.
Mm.
It's a disease.
Is it all the addiction that is a disease, though?
Addiction itself is a disease because it is something that affects us. So whatever the addiction is, so let's look at addiction itself and what actually is addiction, right? An addiction is a compulsive behavior that if you continue in this behavior, it has a negative impact on you or others around you. And even if when you want to stop, you're not able to stop.
Mm.
So when you look at it that way, that's it. It's a compulsive behavior. It could be anything. So those ones are very scary types of unusual type of things because they're eating these rocks. I'm sure they know eating these things. They know that these things are probably damaging their bodies. You know, they've
Mm.
probably gone to see a doctor. They probably, many of them will have health issues. And they probably would know that if I don't stop doing this, it will kill me and it would, my family would lose me. But they're still probably still doing it. So that technically is what an addiction is. So when a person, so when you look at it that way, once the thing has taken hold of you, the key thing is you don't have any control. The word there is you become powerless. You become powerless.
Someone, Yvonne just sent a note in saying it's a form of mental illness. I'm just reading out what she said. She said is a form of mental illness, that addiction. So is that what you're saying there?
Yes, it is because because again, it's, I mean, because I've just done a little bit of study on addictions, and what the key thing is, it starts off as something that a behavior, an action. It starts off as an action, something that you do in order to cope with a situation or with life. I did a short audio in the group earlier. So let's look at alcoholism, which is one of the more well-known addictions, right?
Mm.
A lot of people, you know, they're going through stress, they're very stressed out, you know, life is going on one way or another, and they have a glass of wine, it helps them to just relax and cope.
Mm.
And so the message, the brain then, so the brain realizes you're really stressed, you had some of this liquid, and actually you relaxed.
Mm.
So there's a whole thing about the message is sent. So the next time the person is feeling stressed, right, they go back and they have another glass, and again, it helps them to relax. So then the way because we know how the brain works is it's almost like the next time I'm feeling stressed, I just feel like let's just say I feel like a glass of wine.
Mm.
I feel like a glass of wine. And that's how, so the glass of wine helps them to cope with whatever ish is going on in their lives. So then what happens is if they then go through a period where, you know, they have a lot of stuff going on, they then just revert to just drinking this wine. And then after a while, people, they need a little more wine to have that same effect. So they're now drinking a little more wine, and then it becomes a habit.
Okay. Now, before you
After a
continue, in
while,
case people are
mhm.
wondering why Deji is talking so eloquently, he actually is a coach, so he knows what he's talking about. Yeah. Now, a question is coming. Now, first of all, Tonya Mozopia said, "What?" when she saw the video, and then she said, "OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder," which brings me to the question. So, I have three questions. I'll try and remember them in order. Is obsessive compulsive disorder a disorder that one can develop, or is it something that one is born with? So that's number one. Then Kayode Atobatele, Please come and join us. Don't stay in the comment section. Says, can a person be addicted to work? So that's number 2 question. And number 3 question is, well, how then, if addictions come by doing something that you use in relieving yourself or whatever, then how do sex addictions come about?
Oh yeah,
Because
that's a
basically
very
you're knocking
that's
everything inside.
the first question I don't have the answer to. I'm not an expert on that. I'm not even going to try. Okay. The second question, can one be addicted to work? Yes, you can. I know that when my dad died, what I used to cope was I threw myself into work. That's what I used to cope with the grief. I just threw myself into work and I just got into it. I know a lot of people who are they are work addicts. It's just the thing they do, they just throw themselves into work. People say that, and they're called workaholics, right? And so, yes, you can be addicted to work. The other question, which is, sex addiction, and it's the same thing, sex itself. So whether it's, again, sex addiction is quite broad. Right, there could be pornography addiction. There could be people who are addicted to masturbation. There could be, so that is quite broad, and it's the same thing. It is the dopamine that's released in the brain when you're engaging in these things. So a lot of people, they're going through stuff, they lock themselves out, they just start to engage with porn in that little bubble. They get all that excitement, they get the sexual energy and all of that stuff, and it just helps them to get through that. And it's okay if you do it once in a while, but by the time you then find out that as soon as you've got whatever, you just switch to porn, before you know what's happening, you become an addict. The same thing with masturbation. I mean, masturbation is, people have different opinions on it. I'm not going to talk about whether it's right or wrong. However, when a person's literally every little time they're just going, it's because it's the whole thing about they just can't do life with, and so they shut out into that bubble. And the challenge is when it starts off with you coping with life, it then gets to the point where it becomes it takes over your life. That's where it happens, when it takes over your life. And so it's when it takes over, and then you're realizing, and a key thing is that it's messing up your life one way or another. So let's talk about your craft addiction. It's when you realize that you're just spending so much time doing this thing. There's other stuff that you need to do. There's other stuff that you need to do, but you know what? You're just going to stay in this place because this is my happy place. And you get to the place where other things are suffering. So I should be studying, but I'm crafting. I should be, but I'm crafting. So your grades are affected. Your income is affected. That's where and then you're thinking, I need to stop this. All right, you know what? I'm not going to craft for at least a week. 2 days later, you find yourself crafting again. That's where we should.
I don't even last 2 days.
So that's where you then begin to recognize, okay, this thing, I have no control over this thing, and it's having a negative impact.
Thank you very much for that. I just want to say, Tolulokwe, thanks for joining on Nana. Now, this is someone I know longer than you. I've known her since 1987.
Today makes it 35 years since we met.
Nana, how dare you say the age? Well, we met when we were 2 years old. We met when we were 2 years old.
We're just 30. We met when we were 0.
We met at the hospital.
Hello, everybody.
All right.
35. God damn.
Remember, it was even interviewed as a year before. So
that's 36. Damn. No, man, no. And it always feels like I only met you yesterday. So I'm sticking with that. And also to Sister Ibidu, you joined, I added you, and then somehow you disappeared. I don't know what happened. And Tolu, thanks for joining us also. If you would like to pop in and say something. Yvonne said, see the late comer called Nana. So, okay, Omolara, thank you for coming back. So I just want to quickly read out the comments. And
I
then
didn't go anywhere. I've been here.
We were off. I didn't see you, so I thought you had gone to do something. Okay, so anyways, I'll come back to it. I just want to quickly read out the comments so that we can continue from there. So Aderemi Adekoya, remember Remy? Tell Remy, my friend. Deji.
Yeah, I'm trying to recall.
Very tall. I looked like Kunta Kinte beside him, and we were besties.
Oh
So,
yes, I
anyways, he
do.
says, "Good
Yes.
evening. Sorry for joining in late. Addiction. What can I say? They suck. They suck. Easy to get into, hard to get out of. It takes a lot of toll on mental health, psyche, etc." Then Sister Bidu says, "Good evening, everyone." And then Sister Tina says, "Hi, just saw this link. Apologies for joining later. I have been busy." That's Sister Bidu. And then Sister Tina says, "Great, more grace." And then Kaya, they say, "What if the crafting is making a lot of money for her? Will it still be considered an addiction?" If I was making money, then I would happily be addicted to the thing, because, but it was not. And then he says, "Old women, sha. Hey God, what are the old women that you're calling?" And then he says, Sister Bidu says, "Good evening, Nana. You know that's your personal person and you love each other."
Oh
And then
yes.
I don't know. Sister Timmy says, "Hi, sorry I'm late. Had another meeting to be." All these important people that have meetings. Me, I don't have meeting. I'm feeling very juvenile right now. So, anyways, Omalara, because you've been here, and Nana, don't come to you, Omalara. So, what you've been hearing DJ talk about, this whole addiction, we there was an earlier discussion on the forum where some people were suggesting that, well, if you pick up a cigarette and you start to smoke it in spite of the warnings against smoking cigarette, and now you become addicted, whose fault is it? So
Okay. I'm going to contribute to this on a personal level. I was an addict. I'm still an addict. Years
I
ago,
know
I
it's
was
one.
addicted to coffee. Um, it may sound like it's nothing, but it was so bad. I was having minimum 50 cups of coffee every day. And I'm not talking about coffee you put hot water and open a sachet. No, it has to be brewed. It has to be either the strong Arabian coffee or the Swedish coffee. And
50.
I was weighing 52 kg for years. You know, as a Nigerian girl coming as an SU, you know, that everything is about church and Bible and all of that. When I was diagnosed that I have this addiction, um, I didn't believe it was an addiction. Instead, I took to prayer and fasting on top of my coffee addiction. You know, anyways, I got out of it. Now I drink mostly tea now, but not like 50 cups a day. So I got out of that and I thought life was okay. Of course, it was affecting my life in other ways that I did not see at the time. But I was able to get out of it. And in 2016, I was diagnosed for workaholism. And I'm still battling and struggling with that.
Hmm.
So addiction is something that comes home to me. I mean, with the work aspect of it, it's so bad that you just don't want to get addicted to anything. That's the best way to put it. And like Deji rightfully said, it starts off with you trying to just get your mind off life, you know, because life would always happen. And when life happens, it's not always in a good way. So how did I become get into coffee addiction? My late husband then had to go away to the rig. He goes off 28 days. He's not there. We moved to Sweden. The terrain is new to me, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know how to drink alcohol. The only thing that was there for me that I found that helps me relaxes, take my mind off the boredom and the loneliness was to start going to school, and I was drinking coffee. So I was reading, I learned Swedish in less than 6 months. People were using 3 years to learn Swedish and all of that. And that was how the coffee addiction started. And because it was also part of the culture in my society that I lived then. So a Swedish person, a Swedish guy would ask you out, do you want to Should we go for a coffee? Would you like to come for a cup of coffee? So it was easy for me to get addicted then. But the work on started after I lost my husband. So all I did was I threw myself into my work. And it got so bad that I remember in 2018, then my office used to be at NNPC Towers, if you're familiar with Ikoyi. And I had this sort of office that we don't have windows. My office didn't have a window. So sometimes when my phone rings and my kids are going to bed, they are calling me for us to pray before they go to bed. That's when I go, oh my God, it's 8 p.m. already. So I then had to set a timely reminder, clock reminder, whatever, on my system, which it tells me hourly what the time is. So this very day, I was sitting right in front of my system, and I felt a very sharp pain at the back of my neck, just right here. So the pain came all the way to the front. And the next thing, the screen became very blurry. The next I remember was I woke up at Healing Stripes Hospital. Long story short, I was diagnosed with workaholism. I'm still on a back and forth, back and forth. But the point I'm trying to make out of the whole story is addiction is something we need to talk more in our society, especially we Africans. And like that video speculated, I mean, even when I was diagnosed that me working the way I work is some sort of sickness, and I was abusing myself, and it was telling on me and the people around me, I thought it was just BS, until I then went for therapy, couple of classes, read a lot of books, and consciously started paying attention to the things I'm supposed to pay attention to. And then I see the difference from when I decide to take a day off, when I decide to follow routines, set deadlines. Okay, I'm closing my system at so time, and I close it. But then I get very, part of my trying to, I'm just going to put this out there, trying to work on my addiction issues is this platform that I am on. I have work to do, but I just said, no, I would be here today and stuff like that. So we need to speak more about it. And we need to by speaking more about it, I'm sure a lot of people that are actually addicted to all sorts would be able to not only realize it, but hopefully to seek for help. Like I saw, you read a comment, someone was asking if one can be addicted to work. Yes, you can. And the sad thing with you be having a workaholism problem is that it will not only be affecting you, but will be affecting people that you care much about. And you'd always make excuses. You'd always make excuses. Oh, I'm doing it for my family. I'm doing it for my kids. But you're actually hurting them, because in the process, you're hurting yourself. And you are actually not getting the best out of yourself as a person in the process. So all I'm just going to say is we need to keep talking about it the more. We need to create the awareness. Addiction is real. I see a lot of people in the course of my work, and I just tried, well, now I'm not trying to be psych or anything. I see people that are addicted to some certain things, but they don't know it themselves. But because it's not my place and it's not my business, I just look the other way. But because the society does not encourage these things, our mentality, our way of life, we don't even, it's only a handful of us, that has this sort of mindset and reasoning that would actually sit and be discussing this, and this is really, really killing a lot of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Honestly, it's such a good thing. And it leads to other questions. Don't go, because you won't answer them, but just listen to the question. Before I go into the question, Topsy Jew, thank you for joining us. So, Nana, a couple of questions have come up. But if the coffee is now, the first question is, what if the crafting? So, what if my crafting was making a lot of money for me? Will it still be considered an addiction? I think it will still be an addiction, but it will now cross into workaholism. They'll say, oh, well,
Yeah,
she's
my
doing
work
it
is
because
making
she's
money for
producing
me, but
a
it's still
lot
an
of cards.
addiction. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be like, oh, well, she's working a lot of, but it's still an addiction because there should be, they talk very much about this work-life balance. And as you said rightly, I did not have a balance. It affected my eating. It affected me going out. I would rather be at home and be crafting than go out to do anything. I'll make promises to link up with people. Then I'll come up with, I'm in pain. I'm not, yes, I'm in pain quite a lot, but not enough pain that I couldn't go out. But because I wanted to craft, I'm like, I'm in pain. I can't leave the house. It's a lie. I'm at the table crafting. So once it starts to affect things, then even if it crosses into making me money, it is still an addiction. I think I can answer that. Then, and Nana, I want you to answer this one. So it said, what if, and this is from Kayode again, it says, what if the coffee isn't affecting your productivity? Is it really an addiction? Then when does liking something so much cross into addiction? So can you take that? But before you take that, Nero Fireblade says, me too. So he's talking about him also being addicted to coffee. So yeah, Nana, can you take that, please?
Yes, first and foremost, you're talking to a coffee addict. So, so okay, this is it. If it doesn't harm you or it doesn't cause any negativities, it's still addiction. Because if you can't do without it, if it's in your mind all the time, you want to have that thing all the time, it's an addiction. And most of the addiction comes from external factors. Well, let's not even go into drugs because that's a big topic.
A big one.
But a big one. And that is usually external again, peer pressure. I'll give you a quick example. There's this, I found out because we used to talk with some, we're doing some support groups with NDLEA. And we found out that many of those that were addicted on drugs, it was peer pressure. Someone tells them this, does that, and it's a comfort. It comforted them. It made them achieve what they wanted to achieve at that time, and they get used to it. I'll give you this very odd example. There's this lady, she was getting married. And you know how it is during marriage, crowd and all that. She's very shy. She doesn't like crowd. She doesn't want to be in a crowd. She wants to be on her own, but she has to be in the crowd because she's getting married. And all that, you come out, you dance and all. And one of her friends told her, see what, you just take this. I'm not going to mention the name of the drug, but it's very popular. It's on the street. It's one of those street drugs. I told her you could take it and then it will just give you that confidence. Okay. So she took it, she got married. They did the wedding, it gave her the confidence. So anytime she thinks of that confidence that thing gave her then, maybe sometimes she has a quarrel with her husband and she wants to talk back and she's like, I can't talk. Then she's not going to take that thing again, that drug again. It gives her the confidence like, hey, what you did, I didn't like it. So every time she needs that comfort of being confident, talking to someone, doing what I want to do inside, but I can't do it because of my character, she'll go and take the drug and that's how she got addicted. And a number of people too, something as little as that. Then again, let me tell you how I got addicted to coffee. It's because, I read a lot. I picked up this thing from a young age that you want to be alert, you want to be awake, it's coffee. Funny enough, coffee doesn't do that to me. I could take a cup of coffee right now and 10 minminutes, what's 10 minutes? I'm asleep some few minutes later. It doesn't keep me awake. It doesn't like that.
Deji's having a cup of coffee already.
I always talk about
Soul
coffee. I have to go
brother.
make myself a cup of coffee, innit?
Soul brother. So you see, for me, it now ended up being the taste. And because I'm used to it, I can't stop being used to it. The taste is something I've acquired. It's in me. I just can't let go of that taste. I know it's wrong. I know it's an addiction, but I just can't let go of it. What did I let go of? Soda, Coca-Cola. I was addicted to Coca-Cola. I was addicted to it. I don't take it. My body I start having withdrawal symptoms physically. I stopped counting at a point. I just keep taking the bottles in a day, Then one day someone told me, now something I used to fear the most in my life was cancer. It's no longer a fear factor for me right now. But then some years ago, I was so much afraid of cancer. So I was about to take a bottle of Coca-Cola to my mouth, and somebody said, "You know that thing causes cancer." You know, when I dropped that thing, I went almost a year. I didn't take it because I was afraid of getting cancer. But after a while, I was like, "Come, I've been taking all these years now. How come I don't have cancer?" My mother takes every day. My mother is even worse. Her addiction and it's still ongoing. So she started. So I told myself, I psyched myself, this thing is controlling me. I'm going to stop it because I saw Coke as it was controlling me, frankly. So I told myself I don't want to be controlled, and that's when maybe in another topic we'll talk about it. How I was being controlled by so many events or people or something.
We are not going to go more than an hour, 30 minutes, hopefully, today,
Yes,
because
yes.
we're going to talk about it again next week.
Yes, another day. So anyway, I tried to break everything, let's go, everything controlling me, everybody controlling me. Hey, Motija, I'm off, I'm gone, I'm free. So Coca-Cola was controlling me, and that's why I was able to go off it then. So addiction really is anything you can't do without, regardless of what it brings to you, regardless of what profit you make. So Omolara being a workaholic, we've heard about all those rich people being having that issue. The richest black man in the world has that same problem. He's suffering from that same issue Omolara is suffering from, or suffered from, or is getting healing from. And it's paying him. You can see the money coming because he's the richest black man, but still,
there are things that he's lacking because
yes, that's what addiction does to you. Yes,
yeah.
Even if it's not stopping you from anything, even if you're not liking anything, the fact that you cannot do without that thing, it's an addiction, and it's bad because that thing controls you.
Okay, so let me just go into the comments. Topsy Duke, can you please let me know if you can actually respond to any of the things and put in your 2 cents. So Kayode says, when does liking something so much cross into addiction? Loving someone can be an addiction then. Then he said, when I finish my cup of coffee, I will come and defend this bad rep of coffee. Nana, real addiction will make you instead say something must kill a person and drink the Coke again.
Well, I've said that. I've said that about coffee. Like
then Aderemi said, very interesting. It is well, and well in all things, moderation. As Mr. Miyagi would say, Daniel San, always balance in life. So, everything is about balance. Dr. Senu is here. Yes, let me add him, Dr. Senu. So, you've walked in at the right time because this is something I'm sure you will have a very good, analysis for. So Kayode said, when does liking something so much cross into addiction? Loving someone can be an addiction then.
Yep.
So basically, that whole obsession with someone, because once you're becoming obsessed with someone and say, I love them, I love them, I love them. And Dr. Seno will recall that some weeks back, I actually came crying. I was crying on the phone to Dr. Senu. Nana, I told you about it. I was crying on the phone to Dr. Senu that I'm ready to throw away my phone because somebody apparently became obsessed with me and it was affecting my life badly. I was I was afraid to leave my house. I was afraid to go into Manchester because I was like, I don't want to ever bump into this person, and thankfully Dr. Senu came to my to my rescue. So welcome, Dr. Chris. Just coming on board. Okay. And Yvonne Opuari also abused you. She said, that's Nana. She said, that the coffee problem is a general problem. So Dr. Seno, are you there?
Am I here? Seno? Yeah, I think so. Am I here? You hearing me? Okay. All right. Yes, okay.
Okay. So, are you will you respond to loving someone? Is it possible that loving someone could be an addiction if liking something so much can become an addiction?
Loving as in a human being?
Yeah, so Kayode says, when does liking something so much cross into addiction? Loving someone can be an addiction then.
Addiction. Okay. Well, I am just going. I'll try and be simple because you know me now. I don't want to talk for England. Now, there are two ways to look at this. The first way is the way we use addiction in everyday language is almost as if you like something so much and you can't let go of it, then that is an addiction. But medically speaking, addiction actually is it's a common problem, but it's not just about liking something. It's
Thank
about
you.
the thing having taken control of you to the point where even when it's going to harm you, to stop yourself is hard. So normally we associate addiction with gambling, drugs, alcohol, smoking, but you can be addicted to work. When you are obsessed with your work, that you become exhausted and everything else takes your relationship and your family suffer. That is work addiction. You are no longer. It's not that you love the work. You are what you are putting into the work is more than the work is asking of you. Most of us are now addicted to social media, computer, mobile phone. If you have to audit the amount of time you spend a day on these things, it will shock you that in your 24 hours of a day, how often are you logged on to Facebook, WhatsApp, Telegram, and so on? Now, when you don't need something, and you keep thinking that once there's money in your pocket, you go to the shops, you buy. The problem with addiction is that it always gives you a buzz. Immediately you do it. But in real addiction, that buzz will be followed by guilt or shame. Because if you are spending money you don't have, and we're not even talking gambling here, just going shopping. So what addiction causes is like we are always in need of a high. We always want to feel high. We are afraid of feeling normal. We are afraid of even allowing low to get into us. So we crave on being high and always having that feeling of being on top. Where this affects relationships is this. We have to be very sensible. You love somebody, you cannot be in love forever. You have to love them at a point where you are comfortable. If they are not around, you wish them well, and when they come, you are happy. So if you are addicted to somebody that you love, maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing, because at the end of the day, you have to have a certain level of love. But if it is harmful, you don't want this person to go to work. This person wants to take time off and go to be with their boys or their men. It's a problem. You become possessive. Your behavior becomes dysfunctional. That is not healthy.
Oh, Dr. Seno, the one that you rescued me from.
Yes, that one is a stalker now. Somebody that you should throw in the dustbin and forget him. that one doesn't love you. He just loves the thought of being addicted to you.
I think Kayode has been stalking me.
No, Kayode stalking you. That's fine if you are loving each other.
No, why I'm saying that is that all the comments he's making are just things that I'm going through and I'm fighting with.
All right.
And no one knows it apart from, of course, maybe my sister.
Look at it like this.
He has asked.
That one is a reversible addiction. But medically speaking, we also have addictions that we have no control over. That's why we say people don't try drugs. When you try drugs, they are like from the devil. You can't stop again.
Yeah.
It will push you to the point where you will sell your house, you will sell your father, because you go and kill somebody because of drugs. And then you will not later on claim that, oh, the devil made me do it. That's addiction. So just zeroing in on human relationships, there's something called codependency. It's horrible. Codependency is not love. It means that you turn this person into somebody that if you don't see them, your life doesn't go on. Your life has to go on without another person. What you do is bring value to yourselves. You don't become a limpet or turn that person into something that if you don't see that person or you can't do that person, then life has ended. So let me not take over the whole show. Addiction, we use it loosely, but on a general level, addictions are harmful. I can't think of any non-harmful addiction. Whether it's food, whether it's drink, whether it's another human being, you're addicted. Woman, you kill yourself.
So what? You'll be here today, gone tomorrow. How many women do you want to make love to?
Yeah,
That's
no, we're allowed
important.
to use the F word here.
So yeah, and we are addicted to music. Yeah, but you see, these addictions are. Chris is here.
Dr.
We
Zemu,
love our
speak for
music.
yourself.
Well, you can know. Yeah, happy. I, of course. Bottom line is this: whatever you are doing, if it is harming you and preventing you from having a realistic view of life, if it's something you cannot do without, it has become harmful. Step back. There's nothing in this world that should even making money can be an addiction.
Yep.
You make money. So till you're a millionaire, you don't know that it's time to stop, because making money is your drive. You are making it so much that when you have 5 million in the bank and you lose £5 and you start panicking, is that not addiction?
Oh, then you're now going to the billions, and then it's still not enough.
It can never be enough. It means that you have put yourself in a situation where your love for something is now harming you. It's like they say, so anything that you are enslaved to is an addiction. Whether it is money, whether it is alcohol, whether it is cigarette, whether it is woman, if that thing becomes your master, that is the bottom line. It's an addiction of some sort. So let me leave the floor for other people to talk. But medically speaking, addictions, that is why we have addiction treatment in mental health. And is this not just about alcohol or about substance abuse? That's a big topic on its own.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me call on Professor Chris, because I know he's been doing some work in behavioral therapy and things like that. So I can imagine the kind of insights that he'll be able to give to us. Professor Chris, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Excellent. So
Okay,
yes, we can. I just want to read out some comments so that then you can, take it from there. So it said, Kayode said, when someone is on admission for overworking and is sneaking work into the hospital to continue. Now that you're already in hospital for overworking, and then you're sneaking in work, and then he shouted Motirogo when Omolara said he's stalking her. And then a gym rat is an exercise addict. So someone who goes to the gym and spends 6 hours and then goes again in the evening and spends another 6 hours, is that an exercise addict? And then some people make money so much they give it away so they can start making money again. Well, I don't know about that, but I've never met anyone like that.
Yeah.
But Professor Chris, what have you got to say
yeah,
about
thank you very
these
much. I
questions?
was trying to catch up. Yeah. One thing is certain. I think I once told somebody that almost every human being is addicted to something, because addiction has a definition of being dependent on something. But you find out that if you wake up in the morning and you sleep at night, there's something you must like doing. And if you don't do it, then you may cause more harm to yourself. It doesn't have to be drugs, it could be work, like we all said. So I think everybody is addicted to something, even if it's sleep, even if it's walking around. But when it becomes very harmful, that's when it's a big problem. I do a little bit of work with adolescents, and young people. So I do a lot of work with people under the ages of 24 in my youth-friendly centers. And I find out that it's not, you see, when we were growing up, we had the things we were addicted to. Either you are addicted to babes or to cigar or to, very few people are addicted to music. But there were some things that we all had. Now I think a lot of people get a lot from phones. Like for me, example, before WhatsApp, when WhatsApp first came, I told my daughters, I will never use it, John. What am I going to use it? Am I a WhatsApp freak? Nah, if my finger doesn't touch the button in 1 hour, I don't think I'm myself. So I think I'm addicted to that. So it's something that you just have to be very careful about, because it causes a lot of harm, especially when you can't keep away from it. You know, I think the worst things are things like betting, drugs, and a few other things. I was watching CSI recently on a guy who raped 90 women, and I was like, that's not addiction, that's a cause. Or what would I say? Not an offense, but somebody just keeps on doing it. So those are my own comments. I think everybody is kind of addicted to something. Maybe good, maybe bad. That's my own philosophy in handling addictions. But like I said, things have changed from our own generation to what's happening now. And I feel that what's happening now with the young people actually more harmful than what. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. I know I am definitely addicted to Instagram. I didn't get much sleep. And when I woke up, when I had about 2 hours of sleep, 5 a.m. I got up and I was on Instagram till about 8. I should have started getting ready for college by around 8, but was still on the Instagram. I had to literally tear myself away from it. So it's a problem. Now, there's a question from what Professor Chris said that I want us to look at when we're
Mhm.
talking about, someone who went and unfortunately did horrible stuff to women,
Mhm.
and saying with an addiction. Now, some men use it and say, or some people, not men, some people say, oh, the reason why I keep cheating on my partner is because I'm addicted to sex.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, you have the partner that can give you the sex. So I don't understand how you're justifying it by going to sleep with other people.
Maybe the
You know,
partner.
Okay, can
Um,
I quickly say
okay.
something?
okay.
Yeah, so I think we've got to understand addiction. I think personally, I do think I hear when we say that everybody is addicted to something. And I understand everybody has one thing that we're kind of really into. For me, addiction is slightly different.
Completely.
Because the key thing is when you look at the key definition of addiction, it is a behavior, a compulsive behavior that you engage in that is having or has the potential to have a harmful effect on you and others around you, especially those who you care about, and you are unable to stop yourself, or you
Mhm.
find it hard to stop. A lot of times people say, just stop drinking. The drinking is killing you. Just don't open it. And that's
Hmm.
when that's a non-addict talking to an addict.
Mhm.
50 cups of coffee. You too. The coffee is sitting there. It's you that went to take it by yourself. It's you that opened it by yourself. It's you that brewed it by yourself. And you drank it. It's the same that should stop doing it. That is a non-addict speaking to an addict. Because when you're not an addict, we cannot understand what goes on in the head of an addict.
Hmm.
Now,
Okay.
the key thing though is with that, there is a responsibility. Now, the person who is consistently cheating on their partner, or the person who is, they come back home and they grab a bottle, the reality is they are responsible. The fact that they're addicts does not mean they're not responsible for their behaviors.
Hmm.
And I do believe the first step, which brings us to, I think those of us, there's those who support addicts, but you can't support a person who is not committed to recovery.
Hmm.
Because that commitment to recovery comes from the person, and it comes from the place where they actually acknowledge I have a problem, and this problem will kill me, or it will destroy my family, it will destroy my work, it will destroy my relationships if I don't get help. Because usually to be able to recover, an addict will need help, because they by themselves, they are the problem by themselves. They can't they it's almost impossible for an addict to come out of addiction without help. So I think the first, so for those of us who do not have the addiction, um it's to understand that that person's brain, the way their brain is working is different from the way my brain is working. And so
Hmm.
this behavior has taken control, this thing has taken control of them. And so it becomes compulsive. However, they need to acknowledge, and I think this is the thing, most addicts, until they hit rock bottom, will still just say, anytime I want to stop, I can stop. When they find themselves slipping up, they apologize. And then they say, okay, this time I will. And then I'm going to pray more. There's nothing wrong with praying. But after you've prayed, look, get help. And I think that's the key thing is, because whatever that addiction is, whether it's a sex addiction, or whether it is workaholism, or whether it is alcoholism, or whether it is shopaholics, or whether it is drinking a lot of coffee, the reality is if you continue down this path, the end is not good. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, it's they think they can use willpower. You can't use, because you've tried the willpower before and it didn't help. Get help. And I think that's the thing. But it comes with, I need to take responsibility. I'm responsible for my actions. You don't blame the addiction for your actions. You just know the actions are because you have the addiction, because you're always responsible for your actions. So it's like a pedophile who says, "Well, I can't help myself." Well, then get help, because if not, you go to jail. And
And
a
then
lot
you
of
won't have
addicts,
access.
yeah, and a lot of addicts have gone to jail. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
addicts have lost their jobs. A lot of addicts have lost their families.
Mm.
A lot of addicts have lost their reputations because, a lot of addicts have lost their lives because they didn't get help.
Mm. I think that's a
Yeah,
good place to
Yeah.
stop on
yeah.
because, well, okay,
If I
So,
could just,
sorry,
Omolara, you
so,
have to be very, very
okay,
quick,
did
please.
who? Oh, Lara or myself? I
No,
don't know.
Omolara, yeah.
I yield.
No, no, no,
No, no,
no.
no.
I'll
Fine,
let you.
fine. There's nothing I was going to say. I just wanted to reiterate what uh, was said by Chris and also by Coyote briefly.
Okay,
Thank you.
no,
In a
yeah, I
different way.
want Omolara
Yeah,
to
that's why I'm
speak
shutting up and letting her speak. I like her voice. I'm not stalking
because
her.
you had a hand up since.
Ah,
Okay.
yes, no, please, Laura, please. Let's hear your lovely
Um,
voice.
First off, I like to start from where Deji started. A lot of us mistake what an addiction is to you being used to something. And of course, I know a lot of people that this is a very personal and sensitive topic for me because I'd experienced it. Addiction is not, I like to drink coffee. It doesn't make me to sleep. No, no, that's not an addiction. Addiction is when you try to even not to drink coffee, you leave work to go back to get that particular kind of coffee that you believe you need to have for you to, in order for you to function. Addiction is when all you drink in a day is coffee and then is affecting your health because you're now low on every other sort of nutrients in your body system because the only thing that is in your bloodstream is caffeine from coffee. That is what an addiction is.
Okay.
Addiction is when you cannot grow anymore because everything in your body system is coffee. That's the first thing that I like to say. And the same thing is to work to the work, what's it called? When you are a workaholic. Same thing applies to, I mean, I'll take my kids out to a birthday party and I just leave them. I bring out my laptop again or my phone. I'm working. I didn't have to do those work. I have people I could assign it to. I could leave it until Monday morning. The world will not end. So I think we just need to be careful how we use the word addiction because it's actually it is a big deal when you've been addicted before and you have to pay through your notaries, especially for therapies and sitting to listen to some boring people and all of that. You know that it's not just something that, oh, because I love to do it, or because I spend 3 hours a day on it. No, no. We all are not addicted to something. We all have something that we do and we love doing. But there is quite a number of us that has addiction to stuff. The good thing is that when you use the word addiction, it ways is different. Like you can't compare someone addicted to work to someone addicted to raping women or someone that is addicted to having sex with anybody. But at the end of the day, it's a deeper and more sensitive topic than just say, oh, I like to do this, I do this all the time and all of that. Even if something as basic as what Abby said, even if what's it called was bringing her money, have you thought of the time, how long it would take sorry, Abby, I don't mean any disrespect, a sane person, even if it's your source of livelihood, which is not a source of livelihood, to make over 3,000. She didn't say 300, 3,000. That's a lot of time. And I believe when you're doing this, it's because of the pleasure it gives you, you put your all into it. So even if she was in a serious relationship, that will start affecting her relationship. So I just needed to just say that we need to be careful how we use the word addiction because there is addiction and there is you liking to do something that you have formed a character around it, and they're two different
Okay.
things.
Yeah,
Okay. I
addiction and
got
habit.
kicked out. Okay, I
Oh,
got
sorry.
kicked out, so I missed some of it. But okay, we're at 1 hour 30 minutes, so I'm gonna round off here. But please come back for part 2 next week, because we haven't even touched on drugs. We haven't really touched on sex, which is paining me somehow. We haven't really touched on,
Abby, you
many
have sex
others.
problem. You should go and see a therapy. You like sex
I
too
no,
much.
I don't want
Ah,
I don't want a therapist to cure me. I like
Once we
my
talk about
problem.
sex, your face will glow. Once the topic is about sex,
leave
you'll be
her.
happy.
It's
People
casual.
Oh,
give
Lara,
it to
leave me
you.
alone now. Allow me and my problem.
Anyway,
So thank you so much to every single person who's been watching, who's been sending comments both privately and publicly. I really appreciate you guys. Um Topsy said, Abby. So I just want to say a massive shout out to all the people who have commented, to Tony Omozopia, to Diana Abasi, Alarakwe, Olariwaju, Nachana Oladoyin, Kayode Atabatele, Adiremi Adekoya, Ibito Shongudari, Tina Onye, Timmy Ewarewa, and Niru Fireblade. And I also know Dr. Chris Aimako. Also, I know some people who are actually watching, but they actually haven't joined us. So thank you to all of you out there. And I want to say a massive shout out also to you who have come on the panel, to my DJ, Deji, Omalara, to Nanashe, Topsy Do, Dr. Senu, Professor Chris, Yvonne Opuari and Tolu. I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in and joining in the conversation. Please remember, every Tuesday we have this. So be ready to come back again, because we need to talk some more about some serious things, because I know some people might say, well, Abby, crafting is not an addiction. Ask my bank account, ask my pocket, ask my time. It was an addiction, and it's not an addiction I'm fighting, but at least I'm fighting. I recognize it's the problem and I'm fighting it. So till we do this again, and please stay for the after party, don't go, people. But till we do this again, same time, same place. Don't forget, every Tuesday on StreamYard and on YouTube. It is Abby saying take care and God bless. Bye.